All right, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. It's your good friend Possible here, and I'm back in action with another look at a forgotten classic. This is truly one of my favorite things to do on this show. If I could do anything else besides movie reviews, it would be to go back in time and remember the forgotten marvels that have been made throughout the ages. And this particular one is a real special one because it really showcased the actor's talent and his career. Because, in a way, that's what this movie was about. The movie, of course, is Madhouse, starring Vincent Price. Now, Madhouse is a movie where we realize that Vincent Price, despite his many talents, has been typecast. And Madhouse is likened to Vincent Price what The Last Action Hero was to Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is one of those movies that's a behind-the-scenes movie. What do I mean by that? Well, in this movie, you have a separation between an actor's movie life and his real life. We're supposed to be watching his real life behind the scenes of his movie life. Now, I know that sounds a little confusing, but it actually makes a lot of sense in this show. Basically, it's like this. Vincent Price plays Paul Toombs. He is a famous actor known for his character Dr. Death. And, let's face it, Vincent Price is known for horror movies. See, this is one of the perks of being typecast. I know typecasting is frowned upon by many people, but one of the perks is that, one, you always have work within that genre. If people know it's going to be a Vincent Price movie, it's going to be a horror movie, or an attempt at horror movie, maybe a horror comedy, which is what he was really known for. Also, along with Arnold Schwarzenegger, if you see Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know it's going to be an action movie. And so on. You get typecasting. But here in Madhouse, during the height of his fame, this is just the beginning of the movie, so no real spoilers here. During the height of his fame, he finally has it all. He has a budding movie career, a beautiful fiancée, and money and success. The American dream come true. That night, during a party where he celebrates his success, he suddenly finds his wife, his fiancée, decapitated. And it drives him crazy. Now, the thing is, he's just really depressed and disturbed. He really doesn't know how to handle it. Because he didn't do it, but someone did, and it was a shocking murder. For somebody who has played with death all his life, to actually see a murder take place in such a horrific fashion was a shock for him. Fast forward several years later, where a friend of his gets in touch with him trying to reboot. That's right, in 1974, they were doing a reboot of his Dr. Death series. They wanted to bring him back. They wanted to bring back the character and everything like it. So, and of course, with Vincent Price back, with his movie character Dr. Death back, guess what starts happening? People start dying again. And it makes you wonder why it's happening. Who's doing it? Now, and that's one thing you gotta love about these kind of movies. These kind of movies succeeded where other movies failed. And if you look at the bottom of this poster, notice that it's rated PG. The reason this movie succeeded and the reason why a PG horror movie succeeds is because they didn't need cheap gimmicks. It wasn't about the high body count. It wasn't about the blood and gore. It was about acting talent, writing talent, directing talent. And it was about actually being good at your craft. It wasn't about cheap tricks. You could be bloody without being gory. You could be sexual without showing the nudity and all that. It was, an art back then. Not just some cheap manifestation of what was back then. Now, here's an interesting point, and this is what really makes Madhouse a forgotten classic and what makes it so good. Madhouse, people believe, have a plot hole in it, but it really doesn't. At the end of the movie, if you watch the audience carefully, because at the end of the movie, Vincent Price is being interviewed on television, but of course, this is behind the scenes. So we get to see the audience. And in the audience, there's a person in the audience who later on claims to be the killer. But during Vincent Price's interview and during that during the audience participation, someone is killed. But people say, well, there's no way he could have done it because he was in the audience and we see him. The reality is, there's more than one killer. If you go back through this movie, you have to ask yourself, who really killed who, when? But this movie won't tell you explicitly. It won't come out and say, well, yep, it was really him, or yep, it was really her, or anything like that. No, you got to put those pieces together yourself. It's a very smart movie. And the ending, of course, is true horror. You know, a true horror ending for that era. Made in 1974, Madhouse today is a movie we cannot make today because we just don't have the acting talent to put forth this kind of movie, to really promote this kind of movie. We believe too much in the jump scares. We believe too much in the found footage cheapery, if that even is a word. But you get what I'm trying to say. Here, the setting was cheap. And this was not an expensive production, but it had heart and it had that humor, okay? Let me tell you something. Peter Cushing is in this movie. And during a costume party, Peter Cushing dresses up as Dracula. I don't have to tell you why, and if I do have to tell you why, you are way too young to be watching this video. But the point is, it was one of those movies that was kind of self-aware. It had the horror, it had the comedy, it had the heart, and the sophistication that we just can't seem to give our movies nowadays. There's a grit and there's a earnestness that is lacking in today's movie that this movie has. So if you haven't seen it yet, Madhouse is definitely worthy of your viewing participation this Halloween season. Alright guys, that's it for me today. We'll see you at the theaters.